I'm really happy to introduce Dana Seiler, who will review the 5 key ways his firm uses IT assessments as part of their successful MSP practice. Dana has been in the IT industry for over 25 years now. He founded Beacon Technologies in 1992, and it was on the eastern shore of Maryland, serving clients across the Delmarva Peninsula. In 2008, he founded Vantage Point Solution Group along with Doug Church through a merger of Beacon Technologies and Tech Solutions. Vantage Point Solutions Group was formed to serve as a single solution provider for IT infrastructure and web application development. They started with a core group of 10 folks, grew to 17 in 2011, and then in January of 2012, VPSG acquired Mosaic Solutions Group in Rockville, Maryland, and added an additional principal in Scott Sanborn and 5 more technical staff members. Additional growth has brought the staff to 27 with strategic plans to reach 30 or even more by the end of 2013. So at this point, let me turn this over to Dana. Dana?
All right. Well, thank you very much, Mark. I appreciate it very much. Welcome, everyone, from HTG. I'm glad you could join us today, and glad I have an opportunity to share with you how we have used rapid-fire tools and Network Detective, not only to keep those clients, because as you'll know, retention is today's acquisition, which is very important to us, but also we utilize this as we are going out and meeting with new clients. As Mark said, let me make sure I have full. Oh, there we go. Gave us a little bit of a background. We've been a member of HTG 23 since 2010 when it was formed with Rich Anderson as our facilitator, who came over, I believe, from HTG 12. We do have 27 employees, about 160 clients. We broke that threshold into the 60% plus of peer managed services in 2012. And recently, our biggest initiative has been to begin serving the large number of medical practices, especially in our Eastern Shore location, where we are steps away from the largest regional hospital in the area. So there's a huge medical presence here. And with the things that are going on with HIPAA and high tech, that's become a very strong point of presence for us that we want to be able to specialize in. And the good news is that rapid fire tools and Network Detective and the security assessment help us do that. So with that in mind, I'm just going to take you through a few slides that we have here and sort of give you a background of how we use Network Detective. Initially, what we do with Network Detective, as you can see here on the screen, is we want to utilize it when we do initial client benchmarking. A lot of times our clients have no idea what they have. I think it's the old, you don't know what you don't know. And so we like to be able to use Network Detective as when we initially go in so we can get a benchmark. Where is that client? What do they have? A lot of times we will find, and you might not believe it, but then again, being in the industry, you may have heard this or you've actually experienced it, is a lot of times you'll get in and clients don't even know servers that they have. And you identify that equipment that's out there and those devices, and they have no idea that they had a server that was on their network. We also use it in our quarterly business review, or what we call a technical business review, a TBR. We all do our QBRs within HTG, and I think a lot of us model a technical business review. Well, we're able to utilize Network Detective to be able to put together information in addition to what we do with our RMM tool and or information coming from ConnectWise as far as SLAs and the amount of work we do for them and those kind of things. It also aids in accuracy of our user-based billing. We combine that with another product which synchronizes ConnectWise with our ConnectWise with an Active Directory tool. But what is nice about Network Detective is we can go out and utilize what we get out of it to be able to vet and make sure that that list is correct. So that has also been good. It augments our security practice deliverables, especially when we're dealing with companies who either have FISERV or HIPAA compliance, or they might have Oxley Sarbanes or something else. And it also integrates part of our new business process, which I'll talk about a little detail in a minute. Why we needed this tool, as Mark said, most of us have we all have ConnectWise. Most of us have an RMM tool in either something like a Kaseya or a LabTech or Enable or something of that nature. We also realized that what we can get out of those things is good, but again, in a lot of cases, it doesn't give us everything in one concise report. And so we look at it as being able to have a holistic way that we can represent the client's network activities, and what things that are out there that we can share with the client very easily. I will say this, if you're not familiar with rapid fire tools, the presentation of the reports is excellent. Again, not an easy way necessarily to be able to see who's using what. We can go in and run some of those reports, but it's not all brought together. One of the big things is we did not have a tool that would allow us to capture network documentation. And what I mean by that is we'd have to go out and create Visio diagrams ourselves and draw them out. One of the neatest pieces of Network Detective is it will go out and create those Visio diagrams for you. So you have an understanding of how that network is brought together and how it's laid out, which we really like a lot. You can't really easily see documented change over time, and we like to be able to see that in specific time frames. So our technicians on a quarterly basis are running those reports and being able to show those differences and changes, along with the things we get out of our RMM tool that might be specific to patches or antivirus health or things like that. The other thing is that we spent a lot of time historically in the past. We have a staff that are considered TAMs. It's a program. It's technical account managers. So they are really in charge of the relationship with that client from a technical aspect. And for them to spend time to go out and document the network and draw up diagrams and things like that, we didn't feel was an efficient use of their time. We actually came into Network Detective through another HTG member in HTG 23 who found it. I'm not sure where he got it, but he recommended it to us. We went out and used the $49 limited edition for a while, but as we looked at the product and what we got out of the product and how we could use it, we felt that we would easily regain the money that we spent to go ahead and buy the full subscription to the product. And I can tell you, if I went back and counted the number of times we've used Network Detective since then, and we were paying $49 a shot, we would have spent probably 1.5 times just so far this year in what we paid for Network Detective as a full-blown subscription. So that's how we got to getting that. We just felt that the value was there in order to go ahead and purchase the full subscription. How we use it, again, I mentioned sort of in that overview, we were talking about the 5 ways. Valuable benchmarking. Again, we run the network security scans, and on every new client, we do it before, and then once we win that client over and we do the remediation that we found in running the initial report, we also run it again, and then we share that with the client to show them how those kind of things changed. It helps us identify assets the clients don't know they have, as I mentioned before. The number of times that we go in and a client tells us initially we have 1 server, and we go out and find out that they have 2. We've even had a client we found out they had 3. The reports are saved. They're very easy to work with. They're saved in both Word and Excel documents. So the Excel documents and the Word documents make it really easy for us to go in and tailor it if we want to make any additional specifications to the client that are wrapped around that information that comes out of the report. So we really like that, feature that we can utilize with the client. Everything with us is client-facing. We're very client relationship focused, and we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can, to be able to provide things that client finds of value and useful in our relationship. Again, we run a fresh scan. The other part is, provide ammo to our TAMs. And again, our TAMs are responsible for that relationship. So we run a fresh set of scans prior to each client relationship meeting, regardless of when it is. Again, we're running reports on a quarterly basis, but we'll utilize the reports closest to that meeting depending upon when we're meeting with them. Ease of use, as Mark said earlier, running these things is very, very simple. We can go out and even have had the ability so that our higher level technicians don't have to run it at all. We have lower level people that have been trained to go in, run the reports, capture the reports, put them in the client folder. So we're able to offload a lot of that. It's not technology intensive, which is great for us. Again, what that ends up doing is allows our TAMs to focus on the relationship side of it, not on the activity side of it. We love the fact that the reports are brandable, so it has our logo on it. And it looks like, honestly, it makes the client think that we just spent hours and hours and hours pulling together all this information for their benefit. One of the other things is that we made a decision within 2013 to move from device-based billing to user-based billing. And in order to do that, we need to make sure that we're able to have a very accurate count of who the users are. And we love the fact that we are able to get in a spreadsheet format all of the users that are listed in AD on any of the domain controllers within that company. And it breaks it down and it shows us, exactly where those people are. It shows us the last time they logged in. So we're able to take that and use that to vet with the client as we move from a device base to a user base. And then we're able to utilize the active sync kind of thing to keep it updated. But again, quarterly basis, we're reviewing with the client what that means and what users they have out there, and is there a user that went away and they never notified us to turn that user off, to disable them or do anything like that with them. So it's a good practice to be able to vet that with the client. And what we have found is that in going through that, they appreciate it very much because in a device-based world, the device is out there, and whether it's used or not, they're paying for it. When it's in a user-based world, if a user goes away, their staff decreases, their cost to us decreases. If they have a really good run and a really good building time in their business, and they're growing and their number of people and employees increases, then the cost that they spend with us increases. But it's a win-win. When they're winning in the world of business, we're winning with it. Again, it gave us a good transition going, and we have a lot of people that have been on historical legacy device-based agreements with us that we are now moving over to user-based, and this does a lot for us. Again, it's very easy. The value add to our security practice is we have a number of clients, especially in our Eastern Shore location and around there, that are in the medical industry. And not only in the medical industry, but with the new HIPAA high-tech focus that is coming out, and anybody that attended the Mike Semmel piece that he did and the seminar he did on Monday in Dallas, at this last HTG All, will know that the government is not messing around when it comes to actually finding sacrificial lambs and holding them accountable. And they're not just doing it with the docs. They're doing it with anybody who does business with the docs. So if your company, like ours, does $1 worth of business with a shredding company or with an attorney that represents doctors in, let's say, malpractice lawsuits, we have to make sure that the business associate is following the same HIPAA high-tech standards and compliance as the doctor themselves. So ultimately, what the government has done, and I know I'm speaking more about what's happened with HIPAA and high-tech than I am about why we added it, but ultimately what it came down to is that we knew that we had risk out there, both in the medical practice and with companies that work with the medical practice. And the federal government has created a group that is self-funded, so they get to keep every dollar that they collect. So they're trying to find people that they can actually levy fines against, and we don't want it to be our clients because we can be held culpable as well. The big thing, the security assessment outside, is a really, really great starting point because it will tell us where that client has vulnerabilities, and it adds a lot of, say, meat to the QBRs, or what we do is the TBRs, when we're sitting down and showing them that, they are protected, or we're showing them that they were not protected, and now here's how they're protected after remediation. Okay. The next part is that we feel that this is something that not only can our technical staff use and our technicians be able to utilize as a resource, but it's also something that our sales team has been able to grab a hold of. And it's not anything that we pushed on them. We didn't tell them they had to. We've just made it available as a tool. And the fact that they can go in and offer a free assessment or a free analysis, or just as they're engaging with a new potential client, that they can just say, hey, we can give you a report that shows the state of your network today and the state of your infrastructure and who all the people are that are using it, when the last time is they used it, who has what permissions to get to what on what servers. It really has become an excellent tool. And we feel is a differentiator. So if we're looking at something that sets us apart from our competitors, it's being able to provide to them this level of reporting and of service to them. And it also allows us to better price our services. Ultimately, everybody is price conscious, even when you go to a per user basis, and our per user basis is sort of customized based on what services we're delivering. So because of that, we want to make sure that we're being able to bring value to them. One of our core values is to provide more value than we receive in fees to the client. So we know that we can do that if we're utilizing these tools to be able to help direct us as to what's going on in the network and what do we need to focus on. Again, the value is a sort of a recap. The value of the tool for us is we believe it helps us win new and better business because we have an idea. I do know in one particular case we went out and we ran Network Detective, and we decided not to pursue the client anymore because of what we found on their network, and we just did not believe that they were interested in making the corrections necessary for them to be a good client relationship. It's our insurance policy before we commit to a fee, so we know, again, what's going on there and what's out there and how do we need to be able to price it and structure that agreement for them. Gives us that documented benchmark, and it helps us know the state of each client's network. It allows us to deliver an enriched security service. The security assessment that is done, I believe, is on par with anything an outside certified firm is doing. It's just you don't have that certification there necessarily, but you're giving them just as much information on the security of their network. And lastly, as I said here, it gives our TAMs, those technical account managers who are relationship-driven as much as they are technology-driven, what they need to communicate our value and to help build that relationship so that the client looks at us as their leader for their IT solutions. And I want to thank everyone for taking the time to listen, for me to be able to share how we're using it. Certainly being HTG member, if anyone has any questions, you guys can find me and through HTG, and feel free to reach out to me and ask what's on your mind. Hopefully I can answer it. If I can't, we'll find the people at Rapid Fire Tools who can. And I just appreciate the opportunity. And thank you, Mark.